Yep, there it is. Go, buddy, go. Go, 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 go. Yep, stick with it. Left and right with the steering wheel. Left and right, left and right. Yep, 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 yep. Keep it going. Left and right. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to another Overland Garage where we talk about everything overlanding, and in today's episode we've got a very cool one. Full size versus mid-size. Which one is better for off-road? I don't know, but that's going to be today's subject, so let's just dive right into it.
Yeah, my name is Jacob. Most people know me as Dalton, and I currently am driving a 2001 Ford Explorer, and yeah, that's what I'm driving. You want to go next? Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot. Let's go.
Yeah, you did. I'm Eric, and people know me as Eric, unfortunately. I have a 2014 Toyota Land Cruiser, a 200 series. I previously drove a 2007 Wrangler JK two-door, so
cool.
I think I have a lot of kind of
experience in both.
Yep. The full size and the mid size.
Cool. And last but not least,
hi.
You all know this clown.
What's up, baby? Dylan, pleasure to see y'all again. You've seen me in my big old white Dodge. I've kind of been doing full size for quite some time. I'm currently in a 2017 Ford Expedition that I'm working on. And before all of those, I was also in a Wrangler two-door. My first one, though, was a YJ.
I had no clue about that. I always thought you were in full size.
No, we started doing the exploration in actually the S10.
Oh, okay.
And after the S10, moved into the YJ.
Gotcha.
And loved the YJ. Like, the platform, it's kind of the ugly stepchild of the Jeep world, but it was very capable, and for what it was marvelous. But yeah, even two people. Well, we could get into that, but yeah, that's what I was rocking. Now I'm in the Ford.
Cool. All right. So, on this episode's subject, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, John, I've got a full-size truck or an SUV. Can I go out and do adventuring? And my answer is absolutely yes. And you gotta think about it. Most of these two-track roads that we like to adventure on, they were either created by people who were prospecting for mining, farmers, or lumberjacks harvesting timber.
Yeah.
And those people all drive full-size trucks. You don't see a farmer out there in a little CJ5. I mean, I'm sure some of them are, but the majority of the trails that have been created for us to travel on are all done pretty much with domestic vehicles. So Absolutely. I think overlanding a full-size vehicle, why not? And so let's talk about, guys, okay, the benefits of overlanding in a full-size vehicle. Now, I've never had a full-size. The biggest vehicle that I've had is the Tacoma and also my FJ80 Land Cruiser. What about you, Dalton? Have you had a full-size?
Yeah, the Ford the Explorer, sorry, is the first one I've had.
Okay.
Usually,
So
yeah.
mid-size.
Yeah.
You've had mid-size. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I grew up. My dad has a Chevy 350, and he takes that up the mountains every once in a while.
Okay.
So I grew up with mid and larger sizes and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you guys have both gone from a mid-size to a full-size. So let's talk about here real quick the advantages of a full-size. Because I know everybody says the downside of a full-size is it's too wide, it's too long, it's too big. Well, we just experienced what really big can do out on the trail. He is not. He just had to head back home, but he had a military 2.5-ton truck out on the trail today. So if you want to talk about too big, no, follow that guy.
Yeah. Literally just makes the trail wider as he drives, so everyone else can kind of just follow along. It's great.
Yeah.
And there is an argument to say that it's not really being a full size isn't really downside unless you care about the paint, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
that is true.
That's
That
true.
is true.
But
very true.
other advantages is that you can pack most of what you want, especially if you're just doing a weekend one night stand
Yep.
sort of thing. You just pack everything in the vehicle.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest thing is with a full size, it's the payload.
Yeah.
Well, and I can attest to that, even just with what we're doing. For me, it's just a weekend right now, and I still have the car seats in there. Like, it's set up. I could
You've
right
got
now
kids,
go pick up
yeah.
the kids.
Yeah.
No problem. Take them to wherever. Everything's still in there for its daily purposes, but I still have an entire, like, legitimate mattress. It's a twin mattress
Yeah.
in the back. All my camping gear, all my bedding, all my stuff. And I still have room to spare. And I have the dog with me.
And that's a full size SUV.
That is a full-size
Full-size
SUV, yeah.
Trucks, you could put a topper on the back, and you can you'd got a full 8-foot long bed for whatever. Or the advantage of you could put a camper in the back,
Yeah, put a camper. Well, and that's what...
one of those wilderness campers or something. You know,
Yeah.
something that breaks down a little bit. Yeah.
We've got a gentleman who comes with us, and he's got a full-size F350 with the old 7.3 diesel. Big old lift, full 37s,
yeah.
and he puts a camper in the top and follows us down the trail. And watching him go down the trail is kind of like watching that military truck. It just kind of makes the trail go where he needs it. But they're surprisingly
you don't
nimble.
pick the line for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Does it fit?
Eric, you went from your Jeep
Yeah.
to this 200 series Land Cruiser, and was this weekend kind of your first outing with it?
For an overnight, yeah.
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 What do you think of like the difference, like having this SUV,
Yeah.
and in a lot of countries they classify as the 200 series a full size.
Yeah.
No.
So like compared to your Jeep, like what do you think?
I mean, the Jeep is just, especially the two-door, is just absolutely tiny, and just even just a weekend trip, getting all of the gear in there for one person fills it up, let alone two, and you can't even see out the back window
Right.
anything anymore. Whereas this, I put everything in it, and I had more room to spare, and
Yeah.
just didn't know what to do with it. I could have brought a full vehicle load of people, and
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and
no
let's
issue.
and let's clarify something too, because I've gone with you when you've been in your Jeep, and I know there's going to be people that get down in the comments and are like, "Oh, well, if you didn't pack everything and the kitchen sink, you'd have more room." He doesn't pack everything in the kitchen sink. He has a ground tent, he has his cooler, and he has a tote that he puts food in, and that's it. And the back looks like it's stacked. Like he's not
Yeah.
bringing the whole house with him, and
Yeah.
it's just tight. It's a tiny package.
Yeah.
I experienced the exact same thing in the YJ. There's just not a ton of room.
And that's a 2-door Jeep. Now the 4-door Jeeps, there is people that just delete the back seat, and you
Yep.
got a little bit more room. But what's kind of funny is overlanding in an SUV has its great advantages versus a pickup. You know, over this weekend, we had 3-4 people sleep in the back of their SUV. Where what's kind of funny is with my Tacoma, I've got a 5.5 foot long bed. With your full-size SUV, you've got more cargo area inside with the back seat folded up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, with it, like, so, you know, me personally, I actually want to build a full-size vehicle just to kind of experience that. And I've been sharing a little bit with you guys on what I want to build. It won't be happening anytime soon, but I thought it'd be really cool to build like a 1977 F-150. Nothing really big on 35s. I thought about, instead of doing a long box, cutting it down into a short box, because that's still longer than what my current setup is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I get to, you know, having that, it can handle more weight. I mean, even with a cut down long box, it's wider and longer than what my current setup is.
Yeah. You have more cargo space for whatever you're going to be taking with you. And
then it's super easy to convert a 1/2 ton to a 3/4 ton rear setup, you know, where like I've got the heaviest spring rates on the back of my Tacoma, and yeah, my suspension can handle it, but after a point, the axle can't.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and so as an Overlander, one of the things that we have to be so mindful of is overloading our vehicles, where I think with a full size, if you feel like you've got, you know, a family of 5 and you got to have the stuff for the kids, or you've got things that you feel like you can't get away from, I think a full size is a better way to go because it can handle that payload capacity.
Exactly. And that was the big reason we made the change. Because even my previous vehicle was the full size, it was a Ram 2500, and I know you've got shots of that.
I do have that, yep.
And it was an amazing rig. Literally nothing bad to say about the way it was set up. It was fantastic. It's a fun truck. And for doing our adventures and if it was me and one other person, it was marvelous. But that quad cab is small enough on those earlier Dodges. It was an 04. That once you put the car seats in the back and you put the girls in the back, and then you take the stuff that you just got to have for kids. Diaper bag. I'm not talking any of the bells and whistles. I'm talking you got to have your diaper bag.
Basics.
You got to have some spare clothes.
Entertainment.
You got to have snacks. Yeah. You got to have snacks.
Entertainment for them.
Yeah. And then you're out of room. There's nothing more you can fit in there.
Right.
So everything else goes in the back of the bed.
Right.
I had a flat bed. So our clothes were in duffel bags wrapped in trash bags to keep them dry when we were going through rain or muddy sections. We did 2 trips like that, one of them with you, and the wife looked at me and said, okay, no, we need a bigger cab. And that's why I went to a full-size SUV versus the full-size truck.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, it's kind of funny because you were talking about your kids, and so a good friend of mine, his truck was on the channel. He had a 91 Toyota Hilux double cab.
Oh, sick.
And it's kind of like the second-gen 4Runners, basically, for cab space. And he came over from North Idaho, and we went out adventuring, and he had his son and daughter in the back. And I went to open up the door to give something to one of the kids, and it was like sardines, like with the blankets and the clothes. Like, I opened it up, and it's like the kids were like,
stuffed in the back. It's like,
hi, I'm having fun back here. And it's just like, okay, it's a cool truck, but it's like, you know, it just makes you start thinking, like, it's so easy for us to overpack our stuff, and we just don't think about it, you know. And then it's like, I mean, in a way, and I will say, having a mid-size or a small-size vehicle, it does, like, one great benefit of that is it does keep you as a minimalist.
No, I will agree with that as well.
You know,
that was something I liked about the Jeep YJ that I had, is it forced me to go through my camp setup and really say, okay, is this something I have to have? Is this something that I need to bring with me in order for us to be comfortable tonight? And is this something I want to have for that extra comfort?
Yeah.
Like cooking utensils, you have to be able to eat. Okay, cool. What do I have to do that? Versus, all right, this is the cool lantern I just bought, and it's really pretty and ornate. Do I need to bring that with me? And
Of course you do.
Well, and it forces, but it does. It forces you to go through that. Whereas when you've got all the space in the world and you can roll a full-size twin mattress up in the back and put all your junk in behind it, and so you could pile more if you wanted to. Yeah, I just grab whatever I want and bring it along.
Yeah, it was nice not sleeping in a ground tent.
I bet, yeah.
Older was. I mean, I was still pretty cold, but it was a lot better than sleeping on the ground.
Yeah, and that wind isn't coming through. I mean, that's and that's
a big one.
That is the nice thing about SUVs and stuff, and even with a pickup. Like if you're not an SUV person, having a full size truck, even with a simple topper over the bed, hard sided topper. The real estate is just absolutely incredible, and unfortunately there's just a lot of people out there that think when it comes to off-road, you got to have a Jeep, or you got to have something small, or you got to have a side-by-side,
Gotta have a Toyota Tacoma.
And I'm really liking this idea of exploring into full size, because the 2023 Ultimate Adventure, almost the majority of all the vehicles on those were full-size vehicles.
Yep.
Full-size, and honestly, like if you want to do hardcore rock crawling extreme stuff, sure, a Jeep might be better, or an old school Toyota, or whatever, But for the average Overlander, we are going out and we're being adventurous. We're traveling. We're not looking for the most radical type of trails out there. Right. Full size is great, I think. And it's and so like, don't be afraid to look at them. Even like a half ton, 3/4 ton. 1 ton you might throw your back out a little bit, on the roads, but.
Well, and one thing I can attest, having gone from a Ram 2500 that was set up, and that truck was heavy. I had a full steel flatbed, full rack cage over the top of it.
It was heavy.
It was a heavy rig, and that was part of the fun of it.
First time I saw it, we were doing an event together, and I was driving through the campground, and I literally stopped on the brakes, and I look over, and I'm like, holy Hannah's, that thing is a tank. And then here pops out this short little man.
What's up? Well, and that was the first very Jeep-centric event I'd taken the truck to. And when I pulled up, most of the individuals who were driving a truck like that, they had towed their Jeep up behind it.
Yes.
And then they pulled their Jeep off, and they pulled up to get ready on the trail. There's nothing wrong with that. By no means is there anything wrong with that. If you can afford to do that, you do you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have always been in the position where I've got a single vehicle because I just can't afford to build out multiple.
Not a lot of people can,
And nothing wrong with that either. So, but I pulled up in the truck, and I believe I was like 2 trucks behind you, and you were in a Tacoma, and there was a bunch of Jeeps and a couple Tacomas, and then I pulled up in my full-size 2500, our other buddy Tim pulled up in his full-size F350 on 37s, both of us rocking 37s on these things, and all the Jeep guys you could almost watch as all of them did the Haru out their windows, kind of wondering why I was there.
Yeah, and when we first started doing the trail system, they scattered from you. Because it ended up being like me and John DePuro, and then you and Tim, and we kind of ended up just grouping together because one, we were wanting to drive slower, and which was good because it was the speed that you guys needed to go. But it was funny because everybody kind of scattered from you, thinking like, oh God, this guy's going to be a nightmare on the trail. Like, I don't want to get stuck behind him. But no, there was no issues whatsoever. I remember on the radio, like, oh, there went a little bit of paint on the tree.
Yeah, but it is what it is.
That's the thing. I mean, it's like, you know.
Well, and the gentleman who had the fortune, I will say, the good fortune to be the tail gunner of that trip, he was also in a Jeep.
Yeah.
And at the beginning, he had specifically stuck back with us because he wanted to make sure that if somebody got stuck, because this was our first time that we'd been with this group.
Yeah.
They were just being cautious, making sure we weren't going to get stuck. Yep. We got up to our first lunch stop. He comes out. He was just laughing. You guys can wheel with us. anytime. That was awesome watching you go. And they'd just never seen anything like it.
Yeah.
Well, since then, this was years ago. This was years ago by this point. Since then, now we've got, Alex also, in that big monster of his.
Yeah.
We've got about a 50-50 split of full-size rigs versus Jeeps and Toyotas now.
Yeah.
Where we're at with our group.
Yeah.
And then, just in even doing the trips with you, the tag-along tour that we were on, there was even a couple there. So
yeah, and it's nice, honestly, to see the full-size rigs coming out and being adventurous. And I've heard a lot of conversations with the gentleman that does Expedition Portal and stuff. They've that magazine and stuff, and they're talking about you can get some of these full-size platforms, and when I say full-size in general, that's your Ford, your GM Chrysler, your Chevy, and then your Dodge, Chrysler. Yeah. So the three domestics, Well, a lot of those vehicles are starting to be sold internationally, and so if you want to, travel the world, why not put some type of wilderness camper, pop-up camper in a full-size truck, and go travel, because now you can get them fixed. You've got a much more livable environment on the back, and
you got room to stretch your legs.
Yeah, and then but also think about it. Like I've heard a lot of people comment like, well, the roads are real small, like if in the Middle East and stuff, and it's like, if there's a semi truck delivering product to some mountain town, you can do it. You can take the full size, So
yeah, I'm always surprised. We have a friend, Philip, who pulls excavators up red grade, which is just a road on the side of the mountain. So
old logging road.
Yeah. So
and semi loaded with excavation equipment up the top, and it's really good too, because everybody who passes them is probably making the face as they come down the mountain facing that, but still.
So since we got to chat a little bit about that, so honestly, so for me, I like having the mid-size, and that's mainly because of where I like to go. I like to get a little bit more technical, a little bit more tighter areas, but I'm really considering doing a full-size build eventually. But what? So for you, Dylan, and we'll ask everybody, full-size or mid-size? Do you think,
in my experience so far, and obviously having gone now 2 full size in a row, which I didn't expect to do, by the way, because I didn't think my beautiful bride would say yes. Love you, honey. I would have to go full size now, and part of that being because I've got kids, I've got a family that I do want to bring along. I want to bring them on these trips. I want to show them this stuff. I've got a dog that I bring along.
But I've got three boys.
You do, and I commend you for doing it.
And I rock a mid-size.
And I commend you for doing it. So you can get out and do this kind of stuff in any rig.
Any rig.
You really can.
Any
and
rig.
It's just on how creative you're going to be and how comfortable you are utilizing the vehicle that you have.
Yep.
For me, I'm more comfortable with the full size. But I also get jealous watching some of you guys in the smaller rigs weave your way through trails. We mentioned it. Weave your way through a trail and pick your line and kind of see, instead of, well, the road is there. I'm going to be there. I can't really weave because it's just there, and you go. And there's something that is nice about that.
Yeah. So full size, do you think, for you? For
full size for me, I would have to say, especially for an overlanding. Yeah.
Okay. So Dalton, you've got a nice little Ford Explorer, and I was very impressed watching you with that because it's bone stock. You've done nothing to it.
The tires are not stock, but everything else is just stock.
You got some good rugged terrain tires on there and stuff, Yep. So, seeing others do full size, and you've got your mid size, what do you think?
Just for me and one other buddy, I'd probably stick to mid-size, just because you got sort of best of both worlds.
Okay.
You're small enough to get in there, and you got enough room to pack the essentials and 1 or 2 things of comfort.
Okay.
And it's just a bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll get a chance to tell it later. I did take a 92 Ford Crown Vic up red grade once.
Okay, so let's go ahead and share about that. Let's hear that story. That would be a fun story. Go ahead and share that real
I was
quick.
back in college, and guess what? The Crown Vic is the vehicle I got, and my buddy Dylan's like, "We're going up the mountain." I was like,
This, Dylan?
That was
Yeah,
exactly
that-
what happened.
"We're going up the mountain." I was like, "Cool. I guess I'm coming too." So it was fun, and it was one of the last trips it took before I put it in the junkyard. But it was just fun.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, Eric, you've had experience with both. Which way do you find yourself kind of more leaning towards?
I gotta say full size, but only because I recently got married and we're gonna be having a potentially growing family.
Yeah. Okay.
So I want to be able to take my future kids in
Okay.
a vehicle that I feel would be a lot more safer. I mean, Jeeps are obviously a safe vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Land Cruiser just feels like a tank compared.
They're stout.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Alrighty. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us on this rant about full size and mid size. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know I had a lot of fun with this.
Yeah.
So,
It was all right.
it was all right.
Don't worry, we'll
It was-
take
it was
care of them afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the trail.
please.